Welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody, to this first episode of Comfortably Uncomfortable with Coach Hemant. This is going to be a panel discussion series, a series which is planned for 12 episodes, and all these 12 episodes of panel discussions will be devoted to the future of work. The past 3 years, COVID and now AI, the AI revolution, which seems to be passing across the globe. Nothing new with AI, but now that it is in the hands of the average consumer of the internet, of the web, it's become the talk of the town. With these two significant events, COVID, which resulted in, of course, mass remote working, and the AI revolution, the future of business, the future of work is set to change. That's what will be the focus of this 12-part series. In this first episode, what we are going to focus on is absolutely the impact of the new age AI tech on business. We open our conversation with looking at the subject from a very high level. I've got three expert panelists today along with me in this episode to discuss exactly the same subject. Let me introduce them one by one. Let me first get Gautam on screen. Gautam, where are you? Let me bring you on screen. Yes. So I'm going to spotlight you for everyone.
Hello, everyone. Good evening.
Gautam is the country head for Middle East at Yash Technologies. He's associated with Yash for over 18 years now. He has 3 decades of experience in the IT industry. He directs Yash Technologies' vision and is responsible for the Yash international market in aligning the company's vision with the emerging and futuristic technologies relevant to its customers and industry. Possessed with a strong leadership, effective decision-making, strategic planning, and excellent organizational skills, he has led large customer digital transformation engagements and projects in various industry verticals like manufacturing, banking, and of course, financial services and retail also. Gautam holds a management degree in business finance and is an avid blogger and speaker at different industry events, just like today, across the globe, including those organized by Yash and others. And this reflects his ability to influence people at all levels, both internally as well as external to the organization. Thank you, Yash, for joining. Let me remove the spotlight from you. Yes, and now I'm going to bring to the spotlight Vinod.
Hey, hi everyone. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. And now let me introduce Vinod. Vinod Khot is a seasoned banking pro with 20 years of expertise in trade and supply chain, corporate banking, data analytics, digital banking, and MSME. Currently, he's the president, Central Data and Analytics Group at the Yes Bank Limited in Mumbai. In his prior role, Vinod was the deputy head of the transaction banking group and excelled in strategic projects and structured deals. Vinod has worked with global banks like HSBC and ICICI in various roles. With his master's in management studies and bachelor's in computer science engineering both put together, Vinod combines his academic prowess and his passion for ultra marathons, triathlons, and badminton. He's an absolute rock star in the banking world, driving growth and innovation like a champ. Thank you, Vinod, for joining us. And last but not the least, let me bring on screen our last panelist for the day, Salim. Welcome, Salim.
Hey, hello everyone. Good evening. Thanks, Hemant.
Yes, let me introduce Salim now. Salim comes with 22 years of experience and primarily has worked in the CRM domain. He's a digital transformation leader, specialized in commercial domain, digital architecture, and transformation delivery, having held leadership roles in Salesforce practice and enterprise platforms, helping customers amplify their revenues by 1.5 to 2x. Driven delivery excellence and improve customer experience in the key engagements. A digital transformation leader and client solutionary visionary across manufacturing, energy and utilities, banking. He's developed business plans, go-to-market strategies, and led execution of very large-scale enterprise transformation programs. He's managed programs spanning marketing automation, sales effectiveness, quote and order management, claims, customer experiences, customer services, field service, commerce, and payments. Quite a wide experience, I would say. Welcome, Salim, to the panel today.
And thank you, Hemant, for inviting us to the panel.
Well, now we come to the start of our panel discussion. With 20 people in the room, let's kick off with the burning question, the most important question that we have in front of us. What is going to be, in your perspective, the impact of AI and all this new age tech on business? Let me start with Gautam. Gautam, you can start off with giving your perspective on the impact that you see coming.
Thank you, Hemant, and thank you for having me here today and with this team panel. And I think it's a very interesting topic that you have chosen for today's discussion. And AI has been one of my fantasies basically since childhood, when we started watching all these Star Treks and all these comics that we used to read, and we used to see all these robots and machines talking to people, and we used to wonder how these things would work in future. And today we realize that and that is all primarily because of a lot of things happen in the AI. In the past decade, we have witnessed a rapid evolution of AI. It has been there since a very long time, but it has been commercialized for the last decade or so, which is the effect that we are seeing, transforming businesses across industries and worldwide. From machine learning to deep learning and neural network, AI has opened up new possibilities and unleashed unprecedented levels of productivity and innovation that we are seeing in the world today. The impact of AI can be seen with improved customer experiences, streamlining business operations, data-driven decision-making, and personalized marketing that we are seeing, and not to mention enhanced cybersecurity. All the banking transactions that we do and on all those different retail transactions that we do has a lot of cybersecurity behind the thing, and it will continue to push boundaries. AI will continue to push boundaries. Now, to your second part of the question, how it is impacting the industry today. I come from a IT services industry for the last 2 decades, and I've seen industries evolve in this space. And one of the things that we have actively seen IT services companies are evolving is on the customer service and delivery excellence, right? So AI-based chatbots and virtual assistant have become an integral component of IT service desk. These intelligent systems leverage natural language processing and machine learning algorithms to understand the user queries and provide real time assistance basically to the end customer. Now they can handle large range of IT support activities like password reset, software installation, remote troubleshootings, and things like that, right? So these are the changes that we are seeing. One of the major changes that we are seeing is and the service delivery system is intelligent ticketing and workflow automation. So a lot of services company adopt a ticketing system where they collect data from various customers who are raising incidents and tickets. The AI-driven ticketing system is streamlining IT operations to a great effect, and prioritizing the assignment of tickets using machine learning and algorithms. They can analyze the context of the tickets as well as the relevant information and route them to the appropriate support teams. So that way we are actually able to reduce the overall turnaround time of the tickets and reduce the manual effort. And there are a number of other areas where we are seeing HR operations, recruitment, pre-sales, marketing. All these areas are using AI to a great effect. And I think this is going to be a future. And I think with all other industries adopting it, looks like AI is going to be the future for tomorrow.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. I think, Gautam, you covered quite a wide range of where, of course, AI will impact and given some pertinent examples, some deep practical examples where AI is already working and creating an impact. Let me push the same question to Vinod. What is your view of the impact AI will create on business?
Hey, hi. So Gautam has pretty much covered everything. And when he got talking about the movies, I also remember a couple of movies. You had the great movie called Terminator, which was there, Arnold Schwarzenegger and his famous dialogue. And that is where probably the AI fascination started for me. I'm basically from the banking background, so let me take an example of a bank and how it has impacted a bank or a customer of the bank. I remember when I started working way back in 2002, one of my friends wanted to take a personal loan from the bank. And then I got a call from him and I said, can you become a guarantor for me? And I said, what happened? I just need to take a personal loan and the bank is asking for a guarantee. This was the PSC bank. So I went and gave that guarantee to him. After that, it still took him around 1 or 2 weeks to get his personal loan. So he had to give his salary slip, address proof, guarantee, everything, and then he got the loan. And if you come to 2023 or 2020, you are able to get a loan, a personal at least in seconds today, right? Because there's a lot of data available that is there. There are a lot of algorithms that we run at the back, basis which we are able to decide whether to give a Hemant a loan or no today. And I can do it in seconds. And I can also disburse it in seconds. So that is the evolution of AI in banking today. That's just one of the examples. Thanks.
Fantastic. Great. A pertinent example, I would say once again, how the process timeline can be reduced for, of course, the benefit of the customer. And I'm sure it has got benefits for the bank also in terms of increased speed to market, speed to delivery, and time saved. So over to you, Salim, your perspective on this.
Yes, I agree with Gautam and Vinod on the thoughts. I think we are at the cusp of a new revolution, right? It is a tipping point, as is how I see it. And why I say that is because from the recent statistics, almost 50% of the workforce has tried some amount of AI, right? They have been playing with it, okay? And now is a time where you'll see a lot of application happening. So yes, so this is a very, what do you say, an industry changing movement. It's a tipping point. And you'll see a lot of use cases coming in the industry where one is individual, persons are going to apply in their daily life to see how they can actually bring in much more automation, productivity for themselves. But at the same time, you'll see organizations also implementing a lot of AI projects to see how business can be, supported to increase their velocity, right? Or, decrease cost. So it's going to be multifold. So there's a huge impact we're going to see. There are going to be huge applications we're going to see in the industry now going forward. And yeah, it's huge.
Fantastic. I think after school and college, the word velocity came up only in some fiction novels for me. And now today I'm hearing it where business is getting velocity with AI. So very interesting use and choice of words, I would say. But I agree. Gautam talked about it, even Vinod talked about it. The speed and now I would say velocity, which businesses get in delivering services, in completing their task, in just meeting what they are trying to do on a day-to-day basis for customer orientation, for servicing, is going to be phenomenal. And we are, and as was mentioned earlier, we are just at the cusp of the big change which is coming. And the way we have seen it in just the last 6 months, every new week is bringing in new applications which are not only speeding up things, which are doing things which were pretty much not imagined by being done by a machine or by an automated system earlier. So yes, quite a lot of changes. I think I would, with this overview of the kind of changes which are coming, given by all three of you, I would now like to run a small poll, which is just about 3 questions. And I would like to hear from the audiences what they feel about what kind of changes are coming. So I'm going to pull up the poll here and let me shoot that out. Okay, where is the poll? Yes, the poll is on everybody's screen. It has just got 3 simple questions. Shouldn't take more than 2 minutes to respond. With 22 people in the room, I think the responses are going to be pretty quick. Shouldn't take more than a minute. Okay, can you see the results? I hope so.
We can see the results, but if you can scroll, you can see the first.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So how has AI impacted your experience? 74% people have said it has significantly improved. Another 21% saying slightly improved. So it's 95% people in the room saying it has improved. There's no doubt about it. And we're just going to see more and more of it. Thank you. So what is the biggest challenge in implementing AI technologies? Wow, we actually have quite a diverse view of this. Data privacy and security concerns are significantly neck to neck with ethical considerations and bias in AI decision making. These are, I think, the hottest topics around. Technical limitations and integration challenges come next, and regulatory compliance and legal complexities come next, along with others. And in others, I think Karthik has shared should have one option, degraded experience. And that's the fifth option, Karthik, that the other option, we couldn't have thought of everything. So I kept another and asked people to mention it in the chat. So thank you for that. Coming to the third question, which area do you think AI will have the most transformative impact in the next 5 years? Well, customer service and sales seems to be like a 50-50, almost 47% people have responded with that, followed by data analytics and insight, a very key area because we are living in times of absolutely humongous amount of data. And AI can actually help us process it much faster. So that's a major area. Of course, followed by risk management, fraud detection, compliance, and HR operations. So let me stop sharing the poll results. Thank you very much, everybody, for helping us arrive at these poll results by active participation. Well, thank you, Karthik, for your comment also. Now, before we move on with our panel discussion, let me state that we are going to have a Q&A at the end. Our panel discussion will be for another 20 minutes, and then we open for the Q&A. But I don't want you to wait till the end to ask your questions. Use the chat to post your questions. So at the end, when we close the panel discussion and jump into Q&A, I'll just simply go through the chat. And once I exhaust all the questions in the chat, then we open it up for everybody one by one. You can come on screen and ask your questions too. Okay, great. So moving on with our panel discussion. Again, Gautam, I'll begin with you. And so we have talked about the impact, we have talked about specific examples also. Now let's talk about the challenges. What are going to be the major challenges that you see the industry, the businesses will face in bringing in AI? So your views on that.
Sure, Hemant, and I think our poll already highlighted some of the challenges. Is that huge amount of data is required for any AI model to work, and most of the organization have to collect not only their operational data but also external data that they would want to use for doing any kind of predictions or any kind of AI modeling. Now, how do you collect that data? Data has to be clean, enriched, and curated before you can start using any modeling techniques on that or machine learning techniques on that. Now, that is one of the challenges that I see, where huge amount of data is required for processing, because with small data, you would not be able to do justice to your AI model. You would not be able to do right predictions and so on. So that is one of the biggest challenges today that I see most of our customers, most of our organizations and industry that we are seeing face, is that, lack of data, though they are generating huge amount of data, but still not enough. I mean, unlike the generative AI that we are seeing, large language models, which they are adopting, because that is the data that is available across the internet. But how much it is relevant for each industry is still a question, right? So that is one challenge. The second challenge that I see is the skills that are needed for analyzing this huge amount of data that is coming across. And lack of AI skill and talent is one of the biggest challenges that most of the organizations today are seeing. And we are seeing it, in the industry, in newspaper articles, we are seeing so many universities, colleges have started offering data science as a course, AI as a subject of study. In fact, my my 14-year-old is going to have a subject for AI in the 9th grade. I mean, imagine we were not only, we just got exposed when we were doing engineering. So talent and AI skill is a big gap that we are seeing, and enterprises are struggling to fill those gaps, and it is not going to be easy. That is challenge number 2 that I'm seeing. Third challenge that I'm seeing is on the ethical and regulatory concerns. A lot of organizations, even countries which are implementing various AI solutions are concerned about the ethics, such as the biases, the privacy, the security concerns. And these are significant challenges for adoption, right? So these are some of the challenges that I see. One last thing that I'm want to cover is on the explainability and interpretability of the AI models. I mean, most of the AI models we see are basically black boxes. So there is no way we can understand how the output or the results that they are showing is actually derived, and how do you interpret those results, right? So that those are, unless you expand more on explainability and how do you interpret that outcome, it will be very difficult to create the trust that you need for these systems to have. Hemant?
Thank you. Thank you. In fact, on that note of the 14-year-old having an AI course, I think we are constantly learning new things from our children, but I think it's only going to increase with AI and all. We will have to ask them to explain us a few things. And
Absolutely.
they are picking up things pretty quickly. I remember this was 2 years ago when my kid was generating a QR code on the web, and I was thinking, is that even possible? I did not even know that as a individual user you could create your own QR code. So I learned from my 7-year-old how to create a QR code. So yes, I think the challenges, whether it is data, it is explainability and all those, we are just beginning to see the tip of the iceberg. While large corporations who have been playing with AI, who have been working on it, developing it, probably know the challenges and been living that for quite some time. Those challenges have somehow come out in the world for the average conversation like we are having today in the open grounds. Vinod, over to you on what other challenges do you see coming because of AI, new age tech, anything else?
See, there are most of the challenges have been covered by Gautam, but one particular challenge that I would like to highlight from banking perspective is that data confidentiality. You have global regulations which are there, like GDPR and PDP, which have come into play, due to which you are expected as a bank to keep all this in masked, right? You can't get exposed to the customer, or by mistake also you should not go out in the open, and therefore a reputational risk will occur. From a bank's perspective, it's very important that the customer data is not exposed outside the bank, right? So for any bank which is going to implement AI, for example, we started with chatbots and all, and it's been working successfully, and most banks are using chatbot today. So that is something of a big challenge from a banking perspective, that how to handle the data from a GDPR and PDP perspective. That's one of the challenges. Over to you.
Great, thank you.
That also brings me to one more point, that is cyber security, right? That's another risk that is there with AI and generative AI today, and it's very important to see how banks handle this, or all organizations handle this. Right, over to you. You're saying something.
Just because we had one bad actor in the room a few minutes ago, I have to implement blocks and checks and balances, which means that if I don't know somebody, I will be very, very reluctant to have them in the room if I don't know them directly. And that is going to happen to businesses also. The more and the more the AI or tech or other related cybersecurity related threats come up, more will be the regulation, more will be the checks and balances. Somewhere that is likely to create an inconvenience, a longer timeline for your know your customer, a KYC or something like that, creating some amount of inconvenience for the end consumer. Of course, it is for the benefit and security of the end consumer, but then in everyday life, the consumer does not really see that. Whether it is the checks at the airport or the documentation required by the bank or any other financial services, it is seen as an inconvenience. And we will probably see a lot more of that coming up. So over to you, Salim, your perspective on the challenges.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question, and I'll go to the first cue from Gautam. The learning curve basically. So, if you look at the latest report from McKinsey, today the adoption by CXOs, okay, is around 15 to 30% of AI, okay, and the forecast is that within next 2 years, this adoption is going to increase to around 70 to 80%. So you see that the adoption is very low right now. And one challenge is basically for organizations to implement education of AI. Okay, so at a personal level, how do they utilize your AI? And at an organization level, how do they utilize AI, which is aligned to the strategy of the organization? So that education is going to become very key, so that the application becomes, beneficial to the organization, so the way they want to move ahead. And the second aspect is, how do you utilize AI across the value chain, right? It is not only that we can see AI in silos. So if it is going to benefit an organization to improve sales or improve productivity, or bring in more predictive insights, right? In what part of the value chain are we going to benefit out of it? But then it's not only the single point. The whole value chain has to get automated, so that the data is actually provided, and then you can actually reap the benefit. One example is, I'm sure all of you would have heard about this Chipotle in US, right? Their focus was customer service. How do they improve customer service? And the solution on the AI side, what they've implemented is every kitchen has got an AI based inventory tracker to check real time what is the stock levels in each and every kitchen, and based on the stock levels, they are going to on real time order stocks to be replenished, okay, on an hour-to-hour basis. So what happens is, this reduces the friction of the kitchen and the serving staff with the customers, because now they can focus on the customer experience, right, to make sure that the customer is actually well served, rather than trying to manage the logistics. So this value chain of, how do you actually pursue value chain? How do you bring in the benefit of AI to achieve your objectives is going to be key. Over to Hemant.
Fantastic. Very good example you mentioned about Chipotle. In fact, that reminds me of an interview I saw, and this would be something like 15 years ago or more, where the head of supply chain, the global head of supply chain of either Unilever or P&G, I don't remember which one, but he was talking about that. He was actually talking about lean manufacturing and just-in-time manufacturing. And he said the ideal state would be that a bar of soap sold in a supermarket triggers the entire supply chain in terms of right up to the order of that much amount of oil and raw material from the suppliers. He said, of course, this is an ideal situation, but practically every hour, if we could just pull together all that data and run our supply chain, we would really be having a great supply chain operating just in time. Now, with the AI operating right into our refrigerators at a consumer level, if you look at it, that can actually become a pretty good reality in the coming times. If more and more AI-based devices get activated in our houses and a lot of information is collected, that would be a reality. In fact, between the three of you, we have talked about so many different industries, so many different functions of business. I think the medical industry, the whole healthcare industry will see leaps and bounds in terms of data being tracked and collected by devices which people are wearing, and then AI helping to go into predictions, predictive analysis of when possibly a person would be suffering from a particular ailment or even a stroke or a heart attack. If the monitoring of the various parameters, the health parameters, could be done using a few different devices which are always pretty much with us, our phone, our health band, etc. Who knows, maybe even our clothes at some point in time. The wearable devices, we are already talking about them. So as we start looking a little bit into the future along with tech, which is existent now, we are not even talking about future tech here. We are talking about tech which exists today, and it just needs to be utilized or woven into our lives at a far deeper level. And all those things could be a reality. Well, we've talked
Right.
about the challenges, and now I would like to move on towards, of course, we got to overcome them too. So how do we overcome the challenges which we have just talked about? So what will be the approach for different businesses and organizations, and even the large players like the Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, and others who are developing the AI side? What are the things that they need to do to overcome these challenges? Gautam, again, we begin with you.
Yes, I mean, Hemant, a very pertinent question. The AI actually is not future. Actually, we are already in living in that space. I mean, for example, Google knows where we are, right? We all use Google for navigation and everything, know exactly where we are, where do we go, and so on. Facebook knows who we are, right? I mean, they know all our friends, they know what activities we do, and similarly, Amazon knows what our habits are, what do we buy, or what do we eat, things like that. So now, if you see, everyone knows everything, and it's just a matter of uh, collating this information and somebody taking a decision on that. This person is such and such, and that this in this place is going to order such and such food if he is going to be there. So we are already doing that. So and how much are you going to expand more? I mean, I was listening to one article today this morning. Amazon is investing heavily on automating the home automation, in the sense today we talk to specific devices at the moment, right? Like Alexa and Google and so on. Now they are actually going to integrate in the building material itself. So you don't have to have a device. The moment you enter your home, it exactly knows the kind of mood that you are in, what kind of food that you have eaten so far. And based on that, it will start functioning. Your house itself will start functioning like that. And Amazon is already doing that. And so is the case with all the other technology companies, whether it is Google or Facebook. But how much are you going to allow getting pervasive inside your own lifestyle? I mean, it's very difficult to say at the moment where it is going to stop. I mean, I was listening to one article again where implants are going to be there in your body, where you would be able to use those implants for your authentication purposes, your KYC purposes, and so on. I mean, where are we heading towards? I mean, you talked about medical wearable devices. I'm talking about implants that are going to happen. So we have to be cognizant how much pervasive we can go into. But this is how the future is going to be. I mean, it is not. I mean, I wrote a blog or an article about 7-8 years back talking about the same thing about how medical industries are going to evolve, where you know how we have in the Hindu culture, right? I mean, we have when the boy goes in puberty, basically you do a Janu or something like that ceremony, right? So in future probably we would do an implant so that he can be actually integrated into the society, right? So that's the way I'm seeing it. Uh, to answer your question, I'm not sure where is this going to be a boundary line where we can draw those. This is what it is. There are always going to be bad actors who are going to take the first initiative in misusing that, and we just saw that in our webinar today. So Hemant.
Yeah, wow. I mean, the future is interesting as well as scary, I would say. We talked about embedded chips in people versus embedded devices within the walls of our building. So that, I mean, today at least I have a choice of whether I want Alexa or not. And even if there is an Alexa, I can switch it off, unplug it, and I'm free from the listening devices in my home. If it gets embedded in the walls, I practically have no choice then. There wouldn't be a
Absolutely.
switch. And even if it was, probably it will be dummy. Facebook will continue to listen. or Jeff Bezos and his spirit. So over to you, Vinod. What are the challenges that you see, and how will organizations, how will regulations try and overcome those challenges?
No, yeah, thanks, Hemant. But before going to that, I was just remembering what you said in terms of medical devices. And Google has has used ChatGPT-4, and they've created something called MedPalm 2, which is able to clear the US medical exam with 85% accuracy. So,
Wow.
that is the kind of work that AI has done, right? So that is just one example. Then I was listening to some article where they said that uh, one of the ladies had a dog, and the dog was unwell, and she went to multiple vets and to diagnose what happened, but they were not able to diagnose. So she fed in the symptoms into the ChatGPT or one of the AI apps, and it threw out some possible solutions. Then she went back to one of the vets, and said, okay, this is what I've done. These are the symptoms that is showing. This is what it's saying. Can you check whether this is right or no? And it turned out it was right. So that's interesting. These are the interesting use cases of AI today that are happening. Right. Coming back to your question on how to implement it, it's a very tricky question, and it's a question that all of us will struggle with. One is because you have seen Elon Musk come online and say that he's not too happy with the way generative AI is getting implemented. Sam Altman, again, he himself is a creator, and he's also come back and had some reservations about how generative AI is going to be implemented. So from a banking perspective, like I was saying, data is very. We have a lot of data and of customers, and it's sensitive data. The only way we can try and implement, and as you know, most of the generative AI apps, they are dependent on the internet. They get their data from the internet and they then develop it. For a corporate, including especially for banks, we cannot rely on internet, right? We have to first train the system. Any AI system needs to be trained. We have to feed it our own data, and we have to have multiple iterations of that, train it properly. Just to give another example, for example, Morgan Stanley, they fed the AI 1 lakh documents. Like imagine 1 lakh documents. They used 300 analysts, and then they were able to come out with a AI app. And it was a journey for them. It took them several months to do that, and now they have an app which is working well. The second question is whether whatever the output that your AI is going to give is right or no. Right? Because again, if you're going to use the AI for customer interaction or even for your internal processes, you have to ensure that it's 100% accurate today. You can't have a 99% accuracy or 99.9% accurate. It has to be 100% accurate. So what Morgan Stanley has also done is they have a set of 400 golden questions that are developed. And each time they train the AI and work on the AI or update or make changes to the AI app that they have, they will again feed in these 400 questions and see and whether the answers are same or no. And these are answers that they know. And that is how they try and loop and ensure that the AI is working well, it is correct. So these are some of the challenges that will have to be done. Second thing again is the computing power. Imagine the kind of data that we're generating on a daily basis or minute by minute basis. For us to utilize this data, you will need a solid amount of computing power. Today, I don't know, some of you may have seen that article on quantum computing, right? So in future, I see there'll be a requirement for any major corporate. You will have to have good servers which are capturing data properly. You have golden source of truth. You have trained that data properly, and then only you will be able to commercialize it. So these are some of the challenges and way to try and implement the system. You can do it either from scratch, where you build the entire system from ground up, or if you already have a chatbot which is using AI and some data or app which is using AI, you can then build on top of that. But again, the testing has to be done. This is my view on the way to try and implement it. And of course, the challenges with Sam Altman and Elon Musk have already highlighted. So over to you.
Absolutely, and very interesting perspective of the challenges, etc. In fact, the 400 questions developed for testing the AI, I think that's kind of a Turing test which was developed way back in time, and to see whether it was a man or a machine. And I think similar tests will have to be generated and created for various AI systems. And it is interesting that you pointed out to both the ends of the spectrum. the quality of input that goes into the AI, as well as the quality of the output, the accuracy of the input data which is going in, which needs to be validated. So validated data sets, as well as while we are happy with answers coming from the AI, how do we know? How do we make sure that the answers are correct? We have in the last few months seen several examples of AI hallucinations or AI giving false answers or wrong answers, both in two different categories where AI has generated false answers, did not make a mistake. It actually created answers where none existed. The classic case of the lawyer who was using ChatGPT 4 for his case references, and the AI generated some series of case references, and none of those cases existed. Now, that's very, very strange, but that talks of an area of AI where solutions will have to be figured out of how do you prevent an AI from doing that. So, of course, a lot of work still needs to be done. Salim, over to you in terms of what you see as the challenges and how do we overcome them.
Yeah, so I think interesting point both from you, as well as Hemant. See, one thing which we are going to grapple is in the recent study, every person is having around 40% of activity which can be automated, right? That is what has been generally mentioned. So now there's potential where you can automate your mundane tasks, okay, and improve your productivity by 40%. Now, how do you bridge that gap, right? And that is both as a personal level as well as for an organization to bring in more productivity for what you want to achieve. And that is where I think where the challenge as well as the solution is going to lie, right? How much of that can be achievable? One example is when I talk to the developer community, they're using ChatGPT today to just write code, right? They use that, apply it to the context of what they're actually solving as a business problem or the application, and implement it. So instead of trying to do everything from scratch, now they're able to now be more productive to really give you a solution in a very short span, right? Vinod talked about multiple documents being generated and being used to really train the AI. There's a classical use case where we have been we have got a lot of people in the past where for translating applications or content, we had translated sitting and then translating that content to the languages what you want to publish in. Now, with Gen AI coming into picture, that can be done in a very short span. You have got customer support, right? And you're actually global companies today. You need to support all the languages. ChatGPT or a Gen AI based solution is an answer where now you can quickly translate what the customer is asking you and respond to the person in the language. So you see there are there are actually opportunities where these sort of challenges can be easily achieved. When we talk about healthcare, right? In UK, there was a study done saying now that data is accessible, like Gautam said, no, they know everything, right? So now you're able to track how a person, his lifestyle is, what they're eating, what they're buying, right? From their diagnosis in terms of what tests they do, what are the current health parameters. Now combining all that, can we predict, this person when he's going to actually come to a hospital with any disease or any medical problem? And do we have beds available to tackle such a event? So now you're using personal data, you're using your lifestyle, and then trying to predict how do I need to actually plan my hospital logistics. Similarly, you've got electrical brushes for dental. So with IoT and AI, now you can actually track the pattern of how you brush. So tomorrow you go to a dentist, he or she is going to say that, I think you're going to end up with maybe a root canal because you don't brush this side of the teeth properly. So you see there are multiple use cases, where you can have solutions through AI. But yes, how do you achieve it? How quickly we achieve it? What is the ethical way to achieve it? Would be the big question. Over to you, Hemant.
I think the toothbrush example was an interesting one, and all I was thinking is now you will have a new mom in the house who will keep telling you what you're not doing right. whether it is your sleeping patterns and your mattress advising you on what you're doing right or not, to
Very true.
anything and everything else, to your desk, to your chair, everything. So the world is going to be very, very interesting with all the AI around. Fantastic. So let me pick up the one question that has been posted in the chat until now. The question was posted by Karthik. How do you see democratization of AI with free algorithms and chat GPT disrupting large businesses? So who would like to take it, or do we want Karthik to elaborate the question further?
Yeah, Hemant, I can take a dig at it, and then probably we can ask Karthik to, if that's the answer that he was looking for. So yes, democratization of AI is extremely important. Right now, in the world, AI is primarily governed by large organizations. I mean, you know the names, right? I mean, the Amazons of the world, the Googles of the world. I mean, these guys are basically doing everything. And what is happening is basically they have the power or the muscle power to create those biases, whatever the way they would want, right? Because they are the ones who are controlling all the large data models and stuff like that. So it is extremely important that people have access to large data models so that they can actually contribute towards the model. And then, the way it is democratized and it is unbiased, regulations is, and that is where the countries are trying to create those regulations, how much power that one should have, when you are using and adopting AI. And that is where democratization is very, very important.
Yes. Salim, Vinod, would you like to
may I
add?
clarify a bit? Hemant, may I
Yes,
clarify a
perfect.
bit on the question itself?
Sure.
So what I was looking was a bit different. I understand that's another question I might have wanted to pose, but when I meant democratization is, I do understand large organizations, Amazon, Google, SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, everybody is making data models, and they will make them available either freely or at a cheap fee. I'm looking at how that impacts the larger businesses, given that now even the smaller businesses will have access to similar data model at a cheap cost, whereby do we see the larger businesses now having to compete more aggressively with the smaller businesses, given that everybody is now coming at an equal keel, because the cost of technology drastically reduces also for the smaller business.
Thank you, Karthik, for that further elaboration, because that is definitely a very pertinent point. It is democratization of services. It is democratization of the facilities and tools available to conduct business, which were initially, I would say earlier, the prerogative of only the large players. Now it is available for anybody and everybody. How does that change business scenarios?
So, Hemant, let me just take a go at it. So, Karthik, you're aware that it's a wide spectrum. AI itself has a very, very wide spectrum, right? You have embedded systems which are there. You have smart devices which are there. You have RPA, that is robotic automation that is being done. All these are shapes and forms of AI. At the end, what is AI? AI is a set of algorithms that you develop, basis which decisions are taken and things are automated, right? Whether it is, for example, just to take an example, there was a case that I read recently that why is it going to be difficult for new players to emerge, right? For a new player to emerge into this field or generative AI, they need a lot of computing power, right? And that power or space today is there only with Google's or Salesforce or those guys, okay? So you will have to actually go and approach them. And the moment you go and approach them, okay, I need so much data, because obviously startups who are doing generative AI will not have that much cash flow, right? Which is why you would see that a chat GPT has tied up today and is where it is. And there is a revenue sharing agreement also that is there. That is one way. But having said that, yes, the AI is getting cheaper and there are a lot of use cases for AI. Not all of them need to be to a scale of generative AI, but a lot of automation, improvement, customer sales can happen through it. And a small player will be able to compete with a bigger conglomerate as well. Now, whether it'll play out, how it'll play out, we don't know. But if you see traditionally, the Fortune 500 companies of say 10 years ago would not be the same Fortune 500 companies of today. You will see a 30% of them would have changed, right? So there's nothing permanent in life. So conglomerate today may get changed and taken over by some other person, right? So that's how it is. And we just need to wait to see how it gets played out. That's my view. Thanks.
Yeah, just to add to what Vinod said, I think I agree with what Vinod mentioned. Now, a typical example, technology is getting cheap, to your point, right? And while big conglomerates had capital to invest in, let's say a small example, a call center, right? You had multiple call centers in multiple regions for handling multiple languages. We just spoke about the example of saying, with Gen AI, now you can actually respond to customers with multiple languages. So that cost of service goes down for you, for a startup. Now you're able to now compete with the conglomerate, right? At the same time, you have to scale up to a global level, right? I can deploy chat, bots who can actually service your customers 24/7. I don't need to have a manned service call center desk anymore for small startups. So you see, you're able to scale up very faster with these sort of solutions. So yes, I think there is a challenging time now where small startups can scale up very fast and also start competing with big conglomerates, to your question.
Yeah. So
just to add to that, what are we trying to automate? Anything that is repetitive, anything which needs a lot of accuracy, which is prone to human error, that is what we will try to automate. Whether it is on the operations side, whether it's on the sales side, customer service side, or the outbound call center side, everywhere, that is where you will want to try and automate, right? And if you're able to do that, and if any other small player is able to give that service to a SME also, I'm sure that SME will today become, a Fortune 500 or a listed company very, very soon. And we've seen that happening.
Yeah. This conversation triggered by Karthik's question takes me back 20 years ago, sitting in my MBA classroom and marketing, where the marketing professor had taught us a very simple fundamental of marketing: differentiate or die. I think with the democratization of AI technology per se, where it is available for everybody, a small company can now, as you rightly said, Salim, compete directly with a large corporation, $1 billion corporation, to offer similar services pretty much at similar pricing and cost. Once again, differentiate or die becomes very, very important for both of them. How do they survive against each other? Because while they both can do at similar cost something for their client, the client is now going to think, oh, why not a large corporation against a small one? Whereas another might think that, oh, the small one is closer to me, I can catch hold of him. The large corporation, I might not be able to do anything if things go wrong. So the tide can turn both sides. And the key will be, even between the large players, how do they differentiate from one another? With so many different AI models coming in the market practically every week, how do they differentiate amongst themselves? We have been talking about Chat GPT because that has been the most prominent name. But beyond that, there are hundreds of different players. They are going to be fighting for their identity. How do they create a space for themselves? So they will have to innovate. They will have to do something differently. They will then have to niche down and solve one particular problem and become masters at that. So that could be an answer. Well, I think there was another question in the chat. Let me open up the chat at my end. Sharath is asking, want to know the impact of AI in insurance industry. That's a very specific and interesting question to ask. So who would like to take that?
I can try and take again.
Sure.
Let me try and see if I can answer and give inputs. See, for example, if you take an auto insurance, you take a case where you're driving a car, you get into an accident, right? And you call the helpline number and say, I've got into an accident. Imagine that you have instead of, normally you would have to take photos, somebody will come take photos, then go back, next thing you'll go to garage and all this stuff will happen. But imagine you get a drone coming, taking a picture, going around the car, taking the picture from all different angles, feeding that back to the core banking core system and saying, okay, yes, this is the damage that you have. Feeding the same thing to the auto workshop and say, this is the damage that has happened. How much do you think it will cost? And then depending on the policy that has been taken, he will give say 80, 85% or 100% of that to the garage, and the garage will start working on that. And all this happens in a span of say 1 or 2 hours. That is one way. Second way would be, say, insurance, life insurance today. Uh, like I said, if you're a life insurance company or if a hospitals are able to uh, upload all the data or medical files. So I don't know whether you're aware, Government of India has done a very, very good service where they have the Aadhaar number, which is they mentioned, which is basically a unique medical reference number for each individual. And you can then actually upload all your reports on that. So if you go to a different doctor or a different hospital, you can immediately just quote that and they're able to see all the reports online, right? Once you do that, then your treatment can start immediately, right? Now, if you go to places like US and if you have to go in for, say, cancer or some other treatments and all these specialists are not readily available and there's a huge waiting line, right? Now, what has happened, and it's already happening in US, is that the primary doctor who's there, who's a local doctor, say in a smaller town, not probably in the bigger metros, but in a smaller town, he will at the back end log in where he's taken subscription to a medical device company or pharma company or any such company who will have an AI system at the back end. He will input all the reports, he will input all the stuff, and he will then start the basic treatment. Okay, you start basic treatments for cancer, do 1 to 3 things. In the meantime, when you get a proper appointment with a bigger hospital and get admission, that time the treatment can continue. Initially, at least this can be done. And US, you also see that there's a lot of liability on doctors, right? Because if a doctor messes up with the treatment, he can get sued for millions of dollars. So that also they will not do. So all these are some of the use cases in, say, insurance that can come out, in auto insurance that can come out. That is what I would want to say.
Fantastic. And I think we've touched upon the subject of AI being able to help us predict things, whether it is health conditions or any other places. With the predictive analysis coming into play and the AI playing a significant role in that, it will be a big boost for the insurance companies who can now predict things which are going to happen and actually advise their clients on preventive measures. Whether it is your health, which the AI can predict and you can be alerted on taking precautions, or it is the strength of the building you are working in or staying in. It could be the condition of your car, with the whole car, every parameter of the car being noted and recorded and then processed by AI. The maintenance could become far more predictive. So if you look at it, the more and more AI does predictive analysis, better it will be for the insurance companies, because they will be able to actually avoid a lot of the insurance claims by informing their clients of impending incidents in advance. So that
I
could be
totally
a
agree
game
with you,
changer.
Hemant. So Hemant, totally agree with you. And there's one more thing that insurance companies are doing today, which is basically the smart devices. If you give them access to whatever exercises that you're doing throughout the day, month, year, they will be able to reduce your premiums as well, right? Because they will
Yes.
know all your vital statistics and they will say, okay, this guy is healthy, he's doing exercise on a regular basis, therefore the premium for him should come down. And people have started doing that already, right? And that is one of the excellent use cases for AI in insurance.
Yes. Okay. So I'm now switching to gallery mode on my laptop where I can see all the people. The only thing is I'm not able to see any of them because everybody is hiding behind their camera. So can I please request all of you for just about half a minute to come on video, because this is the time I would like to take the opportunity of taking a group photograph, which would in our case now be a simple screenshot. Okay, I'll take the shot now. So please show your greatest, brightest smiles. We've already talked about toothbrushes today. Great. So the screenshot taken, the group photograph taken, I've got it recorded here. And now we are going to, since we are up with our time, what we are going to do is, while we will formally close this session at this point, some of us are still available to answer any questions that you might want to ask. So we will continue. I'll stop the recording and then we will continue for a few more minutes to engage with you. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for the first episode of Comfortably Uncomfortable with Coach Hemant. And of course, our three fantastic panelists, Salim, Gautam, Vinod. Thank you very much for the insights that you have shared, the years of experience that you have had, coupled with all this new information that is floating around, crystallizing all of that into some usable wisdom for all of us. Thank you very much to all three of you for being here today. To all the members who have attended today, thank you very much. Your attendance was the encouragement for us to go through the entire exercise. With no people in the room, it would be just four of us talking. Wouldn't be much fun. While we would have our own fun, but it's just more fun when we have some audience contributing to the conversation. So thank you very much for coming. This being the first episode, the flyers as well as the information about the next episode will be coming up tomorrow. Watch out for our LinkedIn channels, and we will see you again next week. Thank you very much.